Hey, it's your old pal Lucid Stu again, and this is Stu's News, a compendium of American high-speed rail happenings from the last month. In this April 2024 episode, we'll check out what went down in March. We'll start with Brightline West and the biggest story of the month. Siemens seems to have accidentally leaked that they are the preferred vendor for Brightline West train sets. The news post appeared on the Siemens website and then promptly and quietly disappeared from the Siemens website. Siemens indicated the American Pioneer 220 as the preferred set, which pretty strongly dispels the theory put forward from this channel last month that we might be talking about older train sets from Siemens and Alstom, based on comments by Brightline West President Sarah Watterson at an NDOT meeting in February. And no, that's not a boo-boo, that was mere speculation on my part. Seeing a lot of action in the social media realm was a sentiment attributed to Brightline visionary Wes Edens, indicating that Brightline West round-trip tickets would eventually reach $400. Keep in mind, though, that this is not a direct quote and lacks the context of time span and service level. It also makes for a catchy headline. On the material front, more pre-construction work happening throughout the Nevada and California rights-of-way during much of March. That includes work that just wrapped up in the Rancho Cucamonga area. I went down there to check it out on March 26th, but sadly didn't see any activity. I caught this a little late, but the San Bernardino County Transportation Authority put out a new fact sheet for the Interstate 15 Express Lanes Extension project in January. This now indicates that project will terminate on the north end at Foothill Boulevard. That is where Brightline West will enter the Interstate 15 median, so it looks like those two projects will not be running in the median together from Foothill to Duncan Canyon Road, 6 miles northeast, removing that potential complication. Brightline in Florida is looking to refinance some debt and in the process has yet again revealed new ridership estimates. Projections are down yet again, this time to 4.9 million trips for 2024. Brightline is currently averaging about 240,000 trips a month thanks to their Orlando expansion. That works out to a yearly total of 2.9 million, so they have a ways to go to hit that 4.9 million number. Brightline's ridership has risen sharply the last 2 years, but the pace is slower than projected. This is relevant to Brightline West because there is a lot of debt involved for both routes and Brightline is currently struggling to make money. Will that impact Brightline West's ability to fully fund the project? No indicators of a problem so far, but something to keep an eye on. Speaking of financial trouble, let's move on to California High-Speed Rail. In February, the California High-Speed Rail Authority revealed its 2024 draft business plan. On March 11th, testimony concerning that plan was given to the California State Assembly Transportation Committee. The only thing notable from the authority's standpoint was CEO Brian Kelly being quoted as saying the project would need another $100 billion, which we've known for a while, but boy did various media outlets enjoy that headline. Also weighing in during the hearings were the California High-Speed Rail Peer Group, the Legislative Analyst's Office, and the Office of Inspector General, High-Speed Rail. The major points of the three agencies: funding on Merced to Bakersfield is still short and a better plan for closing that gap is needed. The authority should update cost estimates and schedules in a way that makes sense and is more transparent. And the authority needs to identify a realistic means of closing the $80 to $100 billion Phase 1 funding gap. Gee, where have I heard all of this before? I think the peer group sums it up best. Here is the dilemma. Quote, given the expected cost increases, delays, and demand decreases for the Merced to Bakersfield segment, there are few who would agree that completing a complex high-speed section by itself at a cost of up to $35 billion can be justified. Rather, it would make sense only in the context of a commitment to building the complete Phase 1 system. At the same time, completing the full Phase 1 system poses a growing financial challenge for the state because the funding gap is already large and costs have been increasing faster than identifiable potential financing while forecast ridership has fallen. There is no existing federal or state program that will fill this gap, either as to size or stability. To further quote the peer review group testimony, quote, "The full Phase 1 system will cost at least 3 times as much, will take 15 to 20 years longer, will not meet the trip times specified, and will carry only about 70% of the passengers, far short of the promises when Proposition 1A was passed." However, the peer review group's most stark language is this. Quote, "The legislature might want to commission an independent review of the economic and financial justification for the project before recommitting to the full Phase 1. No Central Valley progress report in March. We will return to that next month. And with that, we'll say bye-bye to California High-Speed Rail and check in with Dallas-Fort Worth High-Speed Transportation. Mighty forces converged at a Dallas City Council meeting to discuss the impacts of the potential Dallas-Fort Worth HST project as well as Texas Central on the downtown Dallas area. Within that, we can see the teams coming onto the field of play. On one side, we have the North Central Texas Council of Governments and Amtrak. On the other, we have a Dallas developer and portions of the Dallas City Council. The game? Figure out how you're going to make an 80-foot high viaduct through downtown Dallas work for everyone. Some renders here are courtesy of the opposing team. I think they made it extra ugly with profuse support columns on purpose. There is a novel idea at play here. They're talking about having the high-speed rail tracks on top of a people mover level between the proposed Texas Central station and downtown. Various buildings in the area would connect to this 70 feet up. Finally, we're getting some Blade Runner action in the 21st century. Speaking of Texas Central, they kind of got sucked into the discussion since Dallas-Fort Worth HST would build that enormous viaduct to reach the elevated Texas Central station site. Texas Central technically doesn't need that section of track to run between Houston and Dallas. Andy Byford was on hand for Amtrak, and it was stated that Amtrak sees Texas Central as still viable. They basically just need to find the funding and build the political goodwill. More things being said we already knew. As far as the process goes, you can see by this chart at current pace, they could be ready to build Dallas-Fort Worth HST around 2028. That would put them in the running against California High-Speed Rail to see who finishes second behind Brightline West, assuming Brightline West can complete construction before 2030. That's enough Texas. Let's move on to Acela and the NEC. Baltimore Pen Partners released some new renders of the station upgrade in progress, this time concentrating on improvements on the north side of the platforms. The new development would be much better connected to its surrounding neighborhood than the historic train hall to the south, which is partially cut off from the city by Interstate 83. A light month for the NEC. Let's look at the Amtrak numbers. Keep in mind these reports run 2 months behind, so the current report is for January fiscal year 2024. If we turn back the clock, we'll see that Amtrak service in the Northeast was hammered by weather in January, so guess what's coming? A huge drop from the prior month. Overall, NEC revenue down 31% from December, with Acela spared the most, down only 26%. Operating earnings even worse, going from a $24.8 million surplus to a $24.1 million deficit, with even Acela running in the red for the month. Ouch! Amtrak services on the NEC are seasonal, so this is to be expected, but this drop was more severe than last year. That causes year-over-year numbers to buck the recent trend. Overall revenue was up a mere 6.5% over January fiscal year 2023, following a very strong fiscal year 2024 autumn travel season. Year-over-year overall operating profit showing just how bad this fiscal year's December-January dip was, down 96% compared to last fiscal year. Acela by itself faring only slightly better, down 73%. If we take a look at seat miles and ridership, we find the culprit. Ridership off 15% compared to the average of the previous 3 months. Seat mileage basically unchanged, which indicates Amtrak tried to make up for the outages, but riders weren't interested. Not far away, let's take a look at the Keystone Corridor. Keystone is 125 mph capable and connects to the NEC, but we've not had any real news about it over the past year. Amtrak is doing a major overhaul of tracks between Lancaster and Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. That work includes 43 miles of track, ballast refresh, and replacing the currently wooden rail ties with more stable concrete. That will cause significant service outages, the bulk of which should conclude before December 2024. No word in the article when that project will finalize. One more short hop, this time to an old friend, Chicago Hub Network. Chicago Hub area politicians still grinding away on their Chicago Hub improvement plan after a disappointing 2023 grant season. This time, Illinois Congress members met with Canadian National CEO Tracy Robinson to figure out ways to keep things moving until major grant announcements at the end of the year. However, nothing definitive seems to have come from the meeting. Lastly, on the congressional front, a group of several Democrat congresspeople introduced the American High-Speed Rail Act. This would provide $205 billion over 5 years for planning and development of high-speed rail. However, given its completely partisan backing and the extremely dysfunctional nature of the House of Representatives lately, it's basically dead on arrival. However, we'll still keep an eye on it on the off chance it gets whittled down by 99% in committee and manages a House floor vote. And now it's time for Stu's Boo Boos, where we examine everything I missed or got wrong last month. In the section speculating that Brightline West might use older train sets, I used a video on a Siemens ICE 4 train set in Germany to illustrate the Siemens Volaro, which is similar looking but a different model. Thanks to Felix P. Games 9639 for catching that, you get a gold star. That brings your gold star total back to 10. Silver stars for a boo-boo free month still at 2. As always, if you find a boo-boo in this presentation, let me know in the comments. If it's a good one, you win a prize. Special thanks to the Lucid Group Discord channel for their assistance and hearty banter, especially Ben over at the Empire State Passengers Association. Go check out their Facebook page. You have advocacy there as well as a solid news feed. If you'd like to join our motley crew in the Discord channel, check out the invite in the description. Let me know what you thought of the high-speed rail news this month in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like. More videos from your favorite channel series are on their way. Up next, we'll visualize the Brightline West route from Rancho Cucamonga to Las Vegas using Unreal Engine 5. And of course, another Stu's news coming your way in April on the last Friday of the month. But that's all for now. Until next time, I'll see you on that big beautiful freeway.